Chicagoland's SportsZone Saturday starts now.
Welcome to SportsZone Saturday. I'm Sean Bauer alongside Tanner Castora.
Following an impressive 31-3 win over Holy Cross in the first round of the SCS playoffs, SDSU advanced to the quarterfinals where they'll see a very familiar opponent. Kettleland's Grant Sweeter previews Sunday's matchup.
The Jackrabbits rushed for 281 yards in their playoff win over Holy Cross.
That's our makeup right now. That's our recipe, if you will, and so we game plan like that, and we don't expect it to happen, but we work hard on being able to run the football. That's discouraging. I don't care who you are and how tough you are mentally. If you're able to run the ball and get 4 and 6 and 10 yards repeatedly, and even if they're tough yards, that discourages an entire opponent.
SDSU is rushing for nearly 240 yards per contest this year, which is 6th best in all of FCS football. That accomplishment can be credited to the communication of the offensive line.
They talk all the time in practice. I mean, it's really neat to observe that. The guys that are watching are talking to the guys that are playing. The guys that are playing are coming back to the huddle. So they're really have become one unit. And maybe that's the best situation we've ever had, that they're really unified as a offensive line.
The Jacks committed 8 turnovers through their first 4 games of the season, but have just 1 turnover in the last 3 games. That improvement has hinged on freshman quarterback Mark Gronowski, as he has been working on ball security. It's
him maturing and then him trusting himself to be able to make a play with his legs if the ball's not there, if the throw's not there. So some of them have been scrambles, and then when we call the run, which he had against North Dakota State, he had a run and the guy tried to punch it out. He had great ball security. And so it's just a bunch of things coming together.
SDSU will now prepare to host a familiar opponent in Missouri Valley Conference foe, Southern Illinois.
We'll use some things from the last game plan, but obviously SIU's changed and we've evolved some. I think the biggest thing is, whatever we do, we got an extra day, and whatever we do, let's not do too much. Let's not be too smart as coaches and let our players win the football game.
State rolled past Southern Illinois 44-3 back on March 20th. SDSU rushed for nearly 400 yards in the win, and that is something they hope to repeat this weekend.
Try to repeat performance, and I think honestly, our performance against Holy Cross was not close to that performance. Why is it? I don't know that. Give some credit to Holy Cross, but in terms of effort on the field, we weren't where we were against SIU or NDSU. Mentally, we weren't, and so we're gonna have confidence having beat them 44-3, but we're also realize they're a different team, and they're one thing you can't manufacture is confidence.
The Jackson Salukis will meet on Sunday night in Brookings. Kickoff is set for 8 o'clock. In Brookings, Grant Sweeter, Kettleland Sports.
Harrisburg baseball is one of the top teams in Class A this season and feature one of the state's best pitchers, junior sensation Will Simmons.
With a cannon for a right arm, stepping into the batter's box against Will Simmons isn't the most inviting experience for hitters.
You want to get an inside fastball at about 90 miles an hour, and that's all you're going to get.
As a freshman at Harrisburg, Simmons was a 2-sport athlete, but knew he had something different on the diamond.
And sophomore year, I knew I had a real talent in baseball, and so I decided to quit football and just focus on baseball.
That talent had never been more apparent than April 20th, when Simmons pitched a complete game no-hitter and tied a program record 18 strikeouts while doing so.
I had no idea how many strikeouts I had. After their game, when I had the no-hitter, and then they said I had 18 strikeouts, I was kind of mind-blown.
I think Dad said, "Hey, great job, whatever, let's go get some food." And he said, "No, I got to go to the facility first. I have to get my recovery in." Right? So pitches the game of his life, and the first thing on his mind is, I have to do my work. I have to go get my shoulder work in, and then I can enjoy it.
With a gift and the dedication to match, Simmons set a goal. He wanted to play collegiately at the highest level.
I was looking to play ACC baseball, the high-class baseball, lots of fans, warmer weather, That was my dream.
And that dream would come true. Simmons is currently committed to play ball for the University of North Carolina. But with all the attention he's received, he keeps it simple while on the mound.
I'm not worried about strikeouts or no-hitters. I'm just getting outs.
Guys know that every time he takes the mound, we have the best guy on the mound. And that's, as long as you're not taking that for granted, it's just a really great feeling.
Simmons is currently 5-0 on the season with an ERA of 0.51.
Well, Del Rapids' Austin Henry is another arm to keep an eye on in South Dakota, as the junior has allowed only one earned run all season. KELOLAND's Grant Sweeter brings you his story.
From a young age, Del Rapids' Austin Henry knew he wanted to be a pitcher.
I just threw harder than everyone else. So, I mean, it was always fun to just blow a fastball by someone instead of just sitting in the field all day when you get 3 balls hit to you. I mean, more action, I guess. But my dad kind of taught me how to pitch when I was younger, too, so that was a big part of it.
Now the right-handed pitcher is known as one of the top arms in South Dakota.
I just try to make every single at-bat look like it's a really good hitter up there, even if sometimes it's not. So that way that every hitter gets my best performance, I guess. I just try to blow fastballs by him and sit him back to the dugout as soon as possible.
He's really determined, extremely hard worker, and he just loves playing baseball, loves the game, and you know, every time he's thrown this year, he's just gotten better, and that's just the kind of competitor he is. He likes to compete.
Henry's determination isn't a new attribute, as he has been working hard since he was a freshman.
In a lot of ways, he's kind of the same guy. You know, when he's a freshman, he didn't throw as hard, but, you know, going into the postseason, he had a 0.00 ERA, and he just as always then was a kid that competed, and he's the same guy. Now he's a little smarter, he throws a little harder, but still that drive and competitiveness is still there.
Henry has committed his baseball talents to Wichita State, a decision he made as a sophomore.
I went down there, it was like last January. I went down there for like a little prospect camp thing. And I remember getting there and seeing their field and thinking this is unreal, you know, because I heard about Wichita, but I didn't really know their history and why they were so good, I guess. And then looking at their facilities and their field and like the whole community backing their baseball program, it was something that I really wanted to be a part of.
Wichita State's pitching coach Mike Pelfrey is a former MLB pitcher and another contributing factor to Henry's commitment.
I mean, I knew who he was, but then I get in there, here's this 6'7" guy, just giant, and he's talking to me, and it's almost like he was talking to me more than every other kid there. And I'm like, well, this is kind of cool, you know? And then that night he called me and offered me, and I talked to him on the phone probably once a week, and he texts me probably 5 days a week, and we're constantly communicating. That's been that way ever since I committed, so that's been great.
Austin Henry has been a shutdown pitcher in 2021, as he has thrown more than 11 innings and has only allowed 1 earned run while striking out 31 of a possible 34 hitters. Despite that success, the junior still has a bigger goal in mind for this season.
Well, for sure, get a ring this year. I mean, that's my goal. That's every single kid on my team's goal as well. It's the coach's goal. So if we all have that same general goal in mind, I mean, we have a good team this year. I don't think that's far-fetched at all.
In Del Rapids, Grant Sweeter, KELOLAND Sports.
Henry and Del Rapids will play in one of the live stream games of the week this Monday. They play Sioux Falls Christian at 5:30. You can watch that game on KELOLAND.com. And racing season is just around the corner, as both I-90 and Houston Speedways both open their seasons next weekend. We'll head out to the racetracks next. I-90 Speedway is set to host its season opener a week from today, and as the track enters its 3rd year since reopening, it'll see the return of 410 sprints to Hartford this season for the first time in more than a decade. There's something about 410 sprint racing that brings excitement to both drivers and fans alike.
The power, it's so usable. They're fun to drive. When they're right, there's nothing more fun to drive, but when they're not right, there's nothing more evil to drive.
It don't get any better than the 410s. You know, that's the most horsepower sprint car out there. It's the best drivers out there.
For the first time since 2009, 410s will race at I-90 Speedway when the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association visits on May 15th.
And the last 410 show I had was more just a local 410 deal. So, you know, this, for a regional 410 show at I-90 Speedway, it goes clear back in the early 80s probably.
Jody Rosenboom took home the checkered flag the last time 410 races were held in Hartford.
I remember basically we ran the top the whole race. I remember qualifying, starting on the front row, and basically led the whole race.
Rosenboom says it's nice to see more local tracks hosting 410s again.
It opens up, you know, different avenues for them to draw people in, draw cars in, you know, guys that names that you wouldn't normally hear at these tracks, you know, you will hear for these races.
The NOSA Sprints will be the only 410 races held at I-90 Speedway, and the track can't wait for them to come.
It's a lot of good racing. There'll be a lot of dicing back and forth, a lot of experience. Anytime you can get those guys in a field, you know, it's just an awesome event.
I-90 Speedway season opens a week from today. Hot laps are set to begin at 6:30, with the first race is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock.
A locally owned sprint car completed a clean sweep of last weekend's World of Outlaws races in Tennessee. KELOLAND's Travis Fossing explains how Huset Speedway is looking to grow into a national brand.
The World of Outlaws is fresh off its first appearance at Bristol Motor Speedway in 20 years.
It just has a very cool atmosphere. The track's big, fast, with really, really high banking, and it was definitely awesome to be there and awesome to win both races too.
After winning Friday's feature with ease, David Gravel was back behind the wheel of the #2 Huset Speedway car on Sunday.
Late in lap traffic, we were able to get the lead coming to the white flag, and it all worked out.
The sprint car is owned by Huset Speedway CEO Todd Quiring.
Right now, we've assembled a really good team, and the guys are working hard, and we're having a lot of success, and it's promoting Huset Speedway.
Huset Speedway has a well-established fan base, but Quiring is looking to attract a national audience.
I thought it'd be unique. We have a lot of experience in growing national brands in our other businesses, and it's worked out very well, and we're trying to make Huset's a national brand versus just regional, and I think we have a really good chance to get a lot of momentum going here.
The Huset Speedway car will even have an opportunity to compete on its home track.
They'll get to see it 3 nights at Huset's and 3 nights at Jackson.
I know Todd's putting a lot of effort into the showdown and being a week-long race pretty much, so we're really looking forward to that, and he's got a lot of money on the line, so it should be a great event.
Prior to the showdown this June, Quiring hopes to build Huset's brand one dirt track at a time.
What better way to market to the direct race fan, you know, that's your direct customer, is on a national sprint car.
In Brandon, Travis Fossing, KELOLAND News.
Huset Speedway opens the 2021 season on Mother's Day, May 9th. You can see Huset's full schedule this season under this story on KELOLAND.com.
And still ahead, former Washington boys basketball coach Craig Nelson is heading back to where his coaching career started. We'll have that story coming up next. Following the state basketball tournament this past March, Brandon Valley boys basketball coach Brent DECKERT announced he was stepping down. More than a month later, the Lynx found DECKERT's successor, former Washington coach Craig Nelson, who comes back to the place his coaching career started. Craig Nelson joined Brent DECKERT's staff after a successful playing career at Northern State. It was his college coach, the legendary Don Meyer, who helped Nelson find his first job.
Craig was a good enough player to play for him, and way back in 2005, he kept telling me, you know, we've got a guy who wants to be a high school coach, and I think he'd be really, really good.
Stuck his nose out for me to get me to apply for this job, but also to allow me to get an interview and be able to start my coaching career at a place like this. So
Nelson would spend 4 years as an assistant under DECKERT before taking the Washington head coaching job.
I think he was with us 4 or 5 years, and when he took the job at Washington, we knew that we were losing somebody really, really good, but we knew he'd be really great wherever he went.
Nelson would spend the next 9 seasons with the Warriors, leading them to 6 state tournaments and a pair of runner-up finishes. But he continued his friendship with the man that gave him his first coaching gig.
We spoke probably once a week or so, and not only that, but I mean, we're family friends. He obviously still lives in Brandon.
When DECKERT stepped down this spring, it provided Nelson a unique opportunity.
I always knew that if one job came open in the area that I'd be interested, and it happened to be this one, and that I wouldn't look anywhere else, but my family lives out here and our kids are in the school district, and it was just a good fit and a good time for us to make that move.
but leaving Washington was not an easy decision.
Honestly, that was the worst meeting I've ever had to do. I mean, that was not fun at all, and I hate to leave those guys. They're good kids. They happen to be talented basketball players as well, but I'm going to be cheering them on from a few miles away. And
now Nelson's coaching career will come full circle.
For him to be able to come back, for this situation to pop up, it's a great situation for everybody. Obviously, great for Craig and his family, and it's an easy transition for me as well.
Nelson will teach physical education at Brandon Valley along with coaching boys basketball. Craig will also be the girls golf head coach, a position he also held in his previous stint at the school. Well, from historic moments to diving stops, we'll take a look at the top plays of the week after the break.
With a new week comes a new edition of the KELOLAND Top 5 Plays of the Week. KELOLAND's Grant Sweeter gives you a look at this week's most impressive moments.
The first honorable mention comes from Harrisburg's Timon Long, who blasts a 3-run home run off the top of the left field fence. Long helped lead the Tigers to a 5-2 win over Lincoln. The next honorable mention comes from USF's Shayla Running, who makes a diving stop and then makes the throw to rob an Augustana hitter of a single. The final honorable mention comes from USF's Caitlin ZWAAG, who makes a great diving catch and then gets up and gets the runner at third for the double play. The Cougars would earn a doubleheader sweep of Minot State. At number 5, we have not one but 2 home runs from SDSU's Cheyenne Masterson. She collected a total of 3 hits and 7 runs batted in during a doubleheader sweep of USD. The Jacks also clinched their first ever Summit League regular season title. The number 4 play of the week comes from the SDSU baseball team as the game is tied at 2 in the 9th until Drew Beasley chops a single into left field, allowing Carson Max to score for the walk-off 3-2 win. The third best play of the week comes from Saturday's NDSU versus SDSU game and features 3 home runs by SDSU's Landon Badger, who blasted a grand slam, a solo, and a 3-run home run in the Jackrabbits' 12-2 win over NDSU. Checking in at number 2 is yet another sweet defensive play from the USF softball team as left fielder Lexi Swift makes a diving catch down the line to rob Augustana of a hit. The Cougars would split the doubleheader. This week's top play comes from Lincoln's Grant Graber, who makes a diving snag up the middle.
What a stop! Graber makes the play! Wow, Grant Graber!
Despite Graber's efforts, the Patriots would fall 5-2 to Harrisburg. That's a look at this week's KELOLAND.com Top 5 Plays of the Week. If you have a play that you would like to see featured on KELOLAND.com, tweet to us using the hashtag KELOSports. In Sioux Falls, Grant Sweeter, KELOLAND Sports.